the world keeps shifting. Technology and the collision of human beings every day is new. And we get to show up with a story that resonates, a story that spreads, a story that people want to talk about, remember, and take action on. Our job is to do work that matters for people who care. What could be better than that? What could be better than that than to have the privilege, the ability, the assets, the resources to show up and tell a true story that resonates consistently with the people we seek to serve? Something that spreads, something that's worth talking about, something that we're proud we brought to the world. Marketers have an enormous amount of leverage. Industrialists have an enormous amount of power. We shouldn't waste it running around trying to sell average stuff to average people. Instead, we can take a deep breath, look in the mirror, and realize we are capable of being generous, of opening doors, of turning on lights, of getting people through the threshold. We are not entitled to whatever story we want. We are obligated to bring the right story to the right people in a way that they are glad that we did.
With so many AI platforms moving into the marketing space, what people are going to be more than ever before is overwhelmed. There's two really wonderful things that are going to happen for you as a marketing expert, as a marketing consultant, as a marketing coach. One is there's a flood of tools out there to do marketing. What that means is all of these businesses who never did marketing, who never thought about marketing, are going to realize we have to do marketing now because it just got easier. All of our competition is going to be doing it. We've got to do it. So all of a sudden, you're going to have a massive flood of people who actually want to do marketing. That is a bigger market. Yes, I know AI is taking some of that, but AI is causing a bigger group of people to actually want to do marketing. The second thing that benefits you as this happens is people are extremely overwhelmed. Listen, nobody wants to sit down and figure out how to use AI to do their marketing. These people are running businesses. They're not professional marketers. They don't have the time that you have to devote to this. They have an hour a week maybe, and there's all of these AI tools. What they need is a consultant, somebody to help them just to figure out the AI. Don't think AI is taking your marketing job away. It may be taking away some of the things that you used to do, but you may be able to do easier things and offer even more value to clients as long as you understand it. There are three phases to any messaging campaign. There's the curiosity phase, the enlightenment phase, and the commitment phase. And let's talk about how these three areas work. Your survival sound bites in the curiosity phase are like front steps going up to a house. The porch is the enlightenment area where the people are doing due diligence. The inside of the house is commitment. When I go to almost every business that I work with, their house actually looks like this. The door is boarded up, the front porch exists because everybody's pretty good at enlightenment, and there are no front steps. In other words, there's no messages in the curiosity part of the triangle. The front porch is usually, quite honestly, really strong. They're really good at talking about their products as though you already know what their products are. They're pretty good at the due diligence. They're not very good at the calls to action. This is what you are able to fix as a messaging strategist. You're able to give them a messaging campaign.
I'm going to teach you very briefly, or at least introduce to you, the 4 pillars of a known and trusted brand. The whole endless customer system is built on these 4 pillars. What are the 4 pillars? Here we go. Number 1, you've got to be willing to say, my friends, what others in your space aren't willing to say. We're going to give you some examples of that. Number 2, you got to be willing to show with video what others aren't willing to show. Number 3, you got to be willing to sell in ways others aren't willing to sell. And then finally, number 4, you got to be more human than others are willing to be. If you do these things, you're going to disrupt, you're going to make waves, and you're going to create a ton of trust signals in the marketplace. Perfect pricing page. What factors drive the price of the product or service up? What factors drive it down? What makes some companies so expensive? What makes some companies cheap? Roughly, where do your prices fall? So you give a range. You explain the different pricing tiers within the industry or variations within the industry. You could explain lifetime cost versus initial price. You could show historical pricing trends. That's very powerful. AI loves that. You can show financing as part of the conversation, how that works. Show examples visually with corresponding price ranges. So like, here's what a $10,000 project looks like. Here's what a $50,000 project looks like. Related FAQs. You can discuss hidden costs. You can include charts and graphs. Again, AI adores that. Embed pricing videos. Discuss without bias. Is this really worth it? That's so powerful. And you can finish with an estimator. We're going to talk about estimators in a minute, but I mean, boom, that is awesome.
The ones who will win are the ones who gain more attention and create more trust and connection. It really is that simple. So now you're wondering, okay, how? Well, it's no surprise. It must start with your customers and how they interact with, connect with, and perceive your messaging and your business. And by the way, you have absolute full control over this. There are 3 touch points of trust. These are the only 3 ways, in my opinion, that a business can build trust with its customers. Now, right now, I'm going to walk you through each one and show you what I'm doing differently in 2025 to create more trust and connection with my audience. Trust touchpoint number 1 is content. So this is any marketing copy, content, or messaging that you create in your business designed for one-to-many consumption. So I'm talking about social videos, graphics, captions, email newsletters, website copy, sales pages, landing pages, and so on. And I'm no economist, although I do have a business degree with a major in economics. So I do know this basic economic principle that the more available something becomes, the less valuable it is. It's pure economics. And on the flip side of that, right, the more exclusive or less available something becomes, the more valuable it is. Well, thanks to AI, content is cheap, basically free. So based purely on economics, AI-generated content is essentially valueless. So it doesn't take a rocket scientist to realize that the more valueless content strategy is not the way you win.
People will go from being executors to orchestrators. The best ones already have. This is the season of generalists. Now, I'm a little biased because I am a bit of a generalist. I'm a jack of all trades, kind of master of none. I can open Photoshop and get by, but I'm not better than most designers. I can open, Xcode and write some code, but I'm not better than most folks out there. But the future belongs to the generalists because we're going to have teams of AIs to do these things for us. And it's not if the specialist will be replaced, it's when. Now, if you're a specialist, it's time to become a generalist. It's time to learn the tools. It's time to get ahead of the craft because we were all cutting wood with manual saws and power saws just came out. And that's where we're at.
What one action would you recommend to marketing business owners that they take in the next 30 days to strengthen their position?
If you are in startup mode or anywhere up to $2 million in revenue, I would encourage you to sit down and find the top 3 things that you know are problems in your organization. It could be, hey, we don't have enough leads, or hey, my finances are not in order. You've got to hustle hard. You're in hustle mode right now. Alignment is not your problem. Hustle is your problem because startup mode, bootstrap mode, that is where you need to put your time and attention over the next 30 days is identify the core problems in your business and chart a path forward.
I think every one of us has something in our business that we feel really good about that's going really well right now. So maybe yours is web design. For us, it would be this on-site video production thing. I would identify that one thing that you feel really good about right now. Look at all of the clients that you serve who are not taking advantage of that area of your business and all of the past clients that you've served. And I would reach out to every one of them and ask for the opportunity to tell them about this fantastic thing that you're doing. And I would probably position it as, can I show you examples of work we're doing for other clients in this particular area that I think would just kill it for you? And I guarantee you, if you reach out to your entire client base and former clients, you're going to uncover a lot of opportunities to scale up that area of your business that you feel really good about right now.
I shifted to each week realizing that my job is to create one pillar piece of content that teaches, serves, and builds trust. Now, if you're watching this, listening to this, you might be aware of this. It's like, okay, this is why you write an email newsletter, why you would write blogs in the past, or you still are blogging today. You think about what can I contribute in terms of thought leadership? My argument is that you would design and create a pillar piece of thought leadership that turns into a YouTube video. And the goal of that piece of content is to be the guide, is to be Yoda, and to teach, serve, and build trust. And then out of that piece of content, which is perfectly positioned to be a successful YouTube video, to then repurpose that into short form clips, an email newsletter, an Instagram carousel, text-based posts, long form written post or article, video podcast. What I'm talking about is deep work, like a piece of IP, intellectual property. And this is already what you're creating. This is already who you are. This is already the expertise you have. And then realizing, especially in a world of AI, that once you've done that, maybe translated it into a YouTube video, you could reformat it and repurpose it in multiple ways.
This idea of like, hey, we should track different metrics and things like that. Most sales and marketing teams are doing this. The problem is they're tracking the wrong things, or they're tracking too many things, or they're tracking it across too many systems. It's just not helpful. It doesn't inform anything. The biggest mistake that I see companies make with their scorecards and with their tracking is they break things up by department. So they'll say like, oh, social team, what metrics are you tracking? Paid traffic team, what metrics are you tracking? And all these different teams and all these different people are deciding the metrics that matter, and what you wind up with is a bunch of vanity metrics that don't inform any action, and they don't tell a story. They certainly don't tell a story about how your customers are progressing through the journey. So what we want to do is we want to go back to the growth engine that we just mapped, and we want to say, okay, how do we know that these different steps and stages are working? We're going to audit the growth engine and say, okay, we're running Facebook and Instagram ads. What metrics should we track to know that those are working? Same with the Google ads and the Instagram Reels. And what about that weekly workout video? How do we know that that's working? What are the metrics that we should track? And in the same way that you would read a growth engine from left to right, this is what's going to begin to inform the metrics top to bottom. Every single one of these metrics wasn't just come up with randomly. It came up with by going back to this particular growth engine and asking this question. How do we know that these are working? And if you were to look at any one of the steps and stages, you would see that each and every one of the steps and stages on this growth engine informs one or more of the metrics and KPIs that we're tracking on our growth scorecard. Just this one change will give you far more impactful scorecards that actually work, that actually are useful, and that actually matter.
You might say to yourself, tariffs don't directly affect my business, so why do I need to change my marketing? Because the mindset of the people that you're marketing to is affected, okay? And they don't know if your business is affected. So if you're not communicating that, they're going to assume that your prices are going to go up. They're going to assume that your availability of your products and services is going to change. So what we are seeing literally in the last 2 weeks is that by, for example, in your email subject lines, if you start your subject lines with these phrases, right now, they're lifting the percentage of people opening up your emails by over 15% for both business offers and consumer offers. What are you going to do to stand out and not let everybody else's emails stand out? And you'll see it in all, when you go back to your inbox, you look at your inbox, you're going to see all these tactics being done by all these major brands. And it's being done for a reason, whether it's business promotions or consumer promotions, because it works. Nothing is by accident. That's why it's all there. That's why you see the numbers. That's why you see the capitalization by all these major brands, because they know what gets us to open up these emails.
One of the biggest shifts you need to make right now to successfully grow your marketing business is making the transition from being seen not as just a service provider, but a strategic partner. But what does it actually mean to be a marketing strategist? And what are the opportunities? What opens up for the possibilities? The first thing it opens up for you is that you can actually raise your prices a little bit. There's a lot of stuff out there for marketing freelancers and agencies about pricing. The reality is you become more valuable because you go from the execution, which is important, you go from the execution to deciding what ought to be done. There's like 15,000 plus tools that are under the banner of marketing technology. Combine that with the fact that you've got all these podcasts and books and influencers and ideas and concepts and all the stuff floating around about marketing that is compounded over the years in the digital marketing age. And our audience, our business owners that we want to serve are overwhelmed. They don't know what to do. So many of your clients and so many of the opportunities that exist for you out there exist with companies that do not have a full-time marketing professional on staff. and they need to know, what do I do? So what it allows you to do is actually make your offering a lot simpler, because you can come in and say, I'm going to have an initial product that I'm going to sell. It might be $2,500, $3,500, $5,000, whatever that price point is. And I'm going to walk people through a simple process to decide, where do we need to focus? Do we need to focus? Do we really need to update our website now? Or do we need great language that's clear messaging we can use in our sales process tomorrow? Do we really need a social media strategy? Or do we need to have a really clear, compelling script that somebody can make 20 phone calls today and close 5 new customers? What do we actually need to do? One of the biggest ways to make the shift, and one of the best ways to make the shift from service provider to strategic partner, is at the next StoryBrand certification training. I've gone through these trainings. I know a lot of friends of mine who have, and every single time they say, this is the best thing I've done. In fact, a good friend of mine, Chris, who's one of the best Facebook digital ad guys I've ever met. I've known him for years. He came to the last StoryBrand certified training, and he sent me a message afterwards, said, this was incredible. It blew my mind, and it changed how I think about StoryBrand and how I think about it for my business. He went a week later, sent me another message and said, hey, I just closed a deal that 2x'd my investment already, simply because of StoryBrand and helping him shift from how he approaches his work to strategic partner.